Good morning. I have to say I'm kind of bummed that the rocks aren't actually heavy because I've been working out for weeks. Do I look good? No, I'm kidding. I don't work out. So my name is Melkesian, and I never, ever planned on speaking here today. But a few weeks ago, I was ambushed in the church lobby by a certain pastor's wife, who came up to me and said, "I'm going to tell you something, but I want you to remember it's about God's glory and not yours. You should use stones of remembrance." When someone starts off with God's glory, especially a pastor's wife, you're in for it. You are rendered defenseless. You're laughing because you know it's true. Originally, my plan, of course, was to finesse my escape and say no. But a couple of weeks after I was asked, I found out that a friend of mine from college had tragically passed away. Something you don't expect of a 23-year-old. But it was during this time that those words came back to haunt me. It's about God's glory, not yours. And it got me thinking that if my last day on earth were going to be tomorrow, could I say that I live today for God's glory and not my own? It's a much easier question to ask than to answer. To be honest, 2019 was not my most God-glorifying year, but by God's glory, it has been a year of growth as God has grown my own awareness of my sin. I've really come to resonate with David's words in Psalm 51:3, "For I know my transgressions, and my sin is always before me." There's a lot before me. So I thought, why confess my sin to just one person when I can confess it to my whole church? How could this possibly go wrong? So I'm going to start off with everyone's favorite, pride. Pride is by far the sin I struggle with the most. I'd love to stand here and call it integrity or dignity or honestly any other noble word in the dictionary, but really my pride is a mask that hides my faults. It's hard accepting the fact that I am a sinner in need of God's grace. My pride tells me that naturally I'm a good person. Rather than being self-seeking and out for my own best interest, envious at the success of others, that I struggle with control, which, let me tell you, living with your parents as an adult is a very interesting experience. And that I think I deserve better and am quite frankly an awesome person. Truth is, sometimes I think I'm a Fruit Loop in a world of Cheerios, and I want everyone else to see me like that. But really, I'm no better than Eve in the garden, choosing the fruit and choosing my glory over God's. Just this last week, in fact, my dad and I got in a little disagreement. Great way to start off the new year. Highly recommend it. And God's timing is sometimes so annoyingly perfect because it was when I was writing this about my pride. And honestly, I did not want to apologize. I was not sorry. But I realized that yet again, God had provided me with another opportunity to confront my sin. So, as any righteous person would, I hid in my room for an hour and contemplated apologizing until I actually did. The important thing is that I did. It did happen. Yeah, God definitely has his work cut out for him. And oftentimes, my pride has led me to express my sin through discontentment. God has blessed me with all the riches of Christ's glory, and still in my heart, I say my life isn't good enough. This isn't fair. I deserve better. I become so frustrated over ongoing and unchanging circumstances that are out of my control and that I do not understand, expecting my life to be a walk in the park when God prefers to refine by fire. I want it my way, so I choose to fight against God's will and reject the circumstances he's laid out for me, rather than accept and trust that he unerringly knows what is best for me, that he is sovereign, all-knowing, good, holy, and he has a purpose for me to reflect and proclaim that. What I've learned from this last year, and I'm sure will continue to learn, is that living like Jesus is hard. Battling sin and surrendering to Christ is the road less traveled for a very good reason. It's arduous, it's humbling, exhausting, just to name a few. But I cling to the words of Hebrews 12, that God disciplines us for our good in order that we may share in his holiness. No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. You got that right. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. I am really looking forward to that harvest one day.